Super excited. I have an amazing guest today, Adam Dickinson. Adam, welcome to the hiring room.
Thanks, Renee. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Excited for this conversation.
Yeah. So, Adam, I have to come out right out of the gate and ask you this question. All right.
Yeah.
Akashic Records, a lot of your, well, not all of it, your whole business and your career coaching methodology seems to stem from this.
Mm.
So tell me about this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Happy to. And it is definitely a key component of how I'm helping folks step into a path of alignment. Another way I'm describing it is having individuals go down a career with calm certainty, and that's really the end result. And
Okay.
how I do that is through my Akashic Records work, which I describe the Akashic Records as your soul's energetic library of information, where through a sacred process, I open this private radio channel, if you will, to the best version of you, your higher self, whatever phrase you might want to use. And I enable clients to have this conversation where they can receive guidance and direction and clarity. And that's really important for a lot of folks that I'm supporting right now because many individuals don't trust themselves. They lack the ability or awareness to know what their gut is telling them, how much of a significance in their decision making process it may have. And so for me, what I do is enable and allow individuals to have this rounded out decision making framework where the Akashic Records side is essentially my way of tapping into the body, tapping into the self awareness. So it counterbalances the logical side of strategy and decision making. And I'm more of putting folks in a position that they can go down a path that feels safe, but also expansive.
Okay. I have so many questions. So I have so many questions. So, my first question for you is no, I have like, I'm going to do one at a time. How did you get into this? That's the first
Hmm.
question.
Yeah.
Second, how did you learn this?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. So the backstory there, mid career at the FBI, when I was an intel analyst, I was with someone who was very important to me. And we had a separation, and my identity was essentially tied up into that relationship. It was very heartbreaking, very
Oh,
traumatic. Yeah, it was very tough. And so logically, I didn't really know how to cope, you know?
right. I mean, we
So,
all have had heartbreak, right? So,
yeah.
well, if you don't have heartbreak, you're an exception to the world. Yeah,
Yeah, but I would assume everyone has had some kind of traumatic event. They have a loved
usually.
one who left, separation with someone that they really
Yeah.
cared about. So that sort of pain was so intense, was so heavy that in order to cope, I started to go inward. For whatever reason, I couldn't find a therapist in the Washington, D.C. area that I could
You
jive
know,
with.
good therapists are hard to find. They
Are they?
are.
Okay, well,
Yes.
that's good
Now,
to
wait a
know.
minute. How old were you when this happened?
Ooh, that's a good
Just for
question.
some context,
Yeah, so that
if you don't
was
mind.
yeah, no, no worries. I gotta do the math now. So that was 2017. I'll be 40 this year. So what is that? 3, 6, 9.
Almost 10 years ago,
Yeah,
9
yeah.
years ago.
Yeah,
So
so
you
30.
were, I mean, kid, I mean,
No.
you're an adult,
Yeah,
you're a grown adult.
yeah,
So I just wanted to get some, like, I just wanted to get some frame on that. Okay, so this is 2000,
yeah.
and you were in the FBI at that point, and, like, I'm sure
Mhm.
everybody wants to know about the FBI because I wanna know about the FBI because I'm one of those action junkies, like, I watch, like, FBI movies,
Do
and I
you?
like to see people, like, break doors down, and I
Oh,
like to see all that stuff. So, I don't know if you're an analyst, you probably weren't in the field, but you probably have some really good stories, though, but you probably can't talk about them either. I don't
that's
know.
correct. Some pretty juicy ones, but yeah, all the FBI Hollywood stuff is
Baloney?
on TV for a reason. I mean, there are things that are somewhat accurate, but they're on
Okay, we're
TV.
gonna get to that because I wanna know.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds wanna
Yeah.
know about the inside of the FBI. Okay. You
That's
probably,
right.
though, just had to sign your life away, so you probably can't say much, but maybe
What
you could make up some anecdotal stories or
there
something.
Well, yes, I do. There are expectations of remaining having responsibility over what I can say and what I can't.
Of course,
I'll leave it
as
at
I would
that.
expect.
Yeah, so with the inward journey that I was going
Yeah.
down, I also was in a very dark place and
Mm,
needed to have a purpose to get out of bed, to get on with my life, and so I was
yeah.
getting clear on that as well, which my purpose is to show and teach others how to integrate intuition and logic to make aligned decisions so individuals have more agency and sovereignty over their hardship, life challenges, career pivots, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with that, I came across the Akashic Records. And as an FBI analyst or any analyst for that matter in the US intelligence community, we're trained to question our assumptions and biases and mindsets. So at
Okay.
first, I was like, well, the Akashic Records sounds like a lot of bull. Um,
You can swear on my podcast. I always mark it's not appropriate for children just in case,
okay, okay.
someone swears. So you can say bullshit if you want to. It's okay.
Okay, okay. Well, so at the beginning, it was like, okay, this is a little weird. But I was
Yeah.
going down this meditation route, this mindfulness route,
Yeah.
and looking at things from a scientific perspective, but also a spiritual perspective. So that intersection was high on my awareness. I was understanding it. And so when I looked at the Akashic Records, it is essentially a way for me, it's like a treasure map of all the different answers you could ever want as you go down your human journey. And, I can explain what I mean by that. But as you're
Yeah.
meditating, time doesn't really exist
Right.
and you're in the present moment and with energy everything shifts and so logically the records make sense to me because as you look at the energetic framework in which human beings engage life the akashic records is just a structuring mindset on how to look at that and
Okay.
so that was just really important for me to understand because now I look at intuition and gut feeling and coherence as an additional data source or intelligence source, as I describe it. And it helps individuals really understand the more a woo woo side in a grounded way. And that's how
I didn't say that because
I know.
I'm a meditator and you know some things about me.
Yes.
And as, I'm just gonna say it, right? Like,
Yeah.
white people were, like, a little bit of an exception. So when I go to my yogic centers, it's mostly
Yeah.
Indian people. I mean, but for
Mm.
them, it's normal.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing strange about it.
Hmm.
But when I got into it about 2019, when I started as a matter of fact, who you have to know this person. You know who Joe Dispenza is, right?
But yeah, his research helped me like bridge into like, oh, okay, this is pretty normal.
He was my introduction to he was my introduction to it. I would say Tony Robbins, because, I went to all of Tony Robbins' live events. I love Tony.
Oh.
And if you see Tony's stuff now, Tony's very mindful. Like, his stuff now is very mindful centric, very
Mm,
meditative centric. I mean, he
mm,
always kind of was like that, but now he's really brought it in. He's brought spirituality into
really?
his I think into his world, if you look at his stuff now. And I
Right.
say spirituality because I was born and raised Catholic. I don't know how you were born. Were you
I
also?
was I was raised a Methodist.
Okay, so my mother's probably just rolling over in her grave, freaking out about me because, people feel like, because as you know, a lot of this is rooted in Buddhism and Hinduism and
Yeah,
ancient Kriyas and all that kind of stuff. And so
yeah.
they think that you're not a Jesus lover. And I always tell people the yogis love Jesus.
Mm,
They revere Jesus. Like,
uh-huh.
to their world, he's like an OG for them. Like, they love him. And so w it's not them, or it's not a choice between him or them or they, and it's got nothing to do with it, and I just think
Right,
people don't quite understand it. I think it's just
right.
I think it's coming from a place of, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, I'm saying this in a very defined way, in a place of ignorance from a knowledge standpoint.
Mm,
But
uh-huh.
I don't know about you, but my network, there were times where people thought I lost my mind,
Sure.
that I was
Yeah.
crazy. My husband thought I was in a cult.
Yeah.
He called all of my sons and said, "Your mother's in a cult." And I was like, "I am not in a cult." And
Mm,
everyone's fine. Everyone's like, "Calm down." Because one of the biggest things, and you'll hear this from people is,
mhm,
"I can't sit this long. I can't let my mind wanders. I can't concentrate." All of
right.
these things. I'm like, "Well, everyone goes through that. Like, it's part of the
Yeah.
process. It's okay." Sometimes my meditations are amazing. Some of them just suck, you know?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's okay,
Yeah, for sure.
you
Yeah.
know?
And you make a good point, Renee. I probably wouldn't have stuck with it, but I was hungry to heal.
You have right, there's a reason, I was kind of at this, like, midlife crisis road, like, there
Mhm,
gotta be more. So you had pain, you figured this out, and
mhm.
then tell me, because I don't know about this, and I've gotta go
What
research this stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm probably gonna hire you to do a couple sessions. We're gonna do something.
let me
I have
know.
to. I have to go down this route. So Dispenza, I read all his stuff. I've done a
Yeah,
lot of his meditations.
yeah.
His meditations are really not that easy to do. They're long. He's
Mm.
got that zombie voice. And then I went to Palm Springs and did a week with him
Really?
yeah. Oh, yeah. We did a week. There was like, I don't know how many people. There was a lot of people. Have you ever done anything with him? Have you ever gone live?
I want to. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, he's got a big following, but I was part of a healing process. Now that was wild.
Was it?
Yes. So what happens is, and this is so heartbreaking, people come there because they don't have any other options. So we're
Mhm,
talking about
mhm,
terminal people are coming, and here we are, none of us, we're just getting in a well, as you know, energy, when
mhm.
it's together, when you're with people together in a room and everyone is
Mhm.
in an energetic state, energy
Yep.
takes a life of its own, right? Like, it's a very powerful
Oh, yeah.
scenario, right? Yeah. So by the end of it, everyone was so in sync energetically from the
Mhm.
meditations that they bring people in to do and they do a healing. Dr. Dispenza just puts you in a certain state and everyone's in the same state. And
Mhm.
he does the talking and does all the stuff. But I saw some things.
I bet.
I saw some things and I felt some things. And no one's supposed to share that. So I'm not going to share it. But my whole
Mhm,
point is that it's a real thing. And
mhm,
I think what I like
mhm.
about Dispenza, I don't know if what you like about him, you should tell me, but he kind of brought the Western world thinking with the Eastern world thinking. And I think he was
Yeah.
super smart the way he did it.
Mhm.
Right? Because he did it from a very scientific standpoint, but yoga is very scientific too. People don't really understand that. It's very scientific. But I think he did an amazing job with that, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
continues. He was on the Diary of a CEO. I mean, the guy keeps rolling. Tell me about you and, like, how are you leveraging Dispenza's teaching with this?
Joe Dispenza's work helped me understand, yeah, the intersection of energy and science. And
Mhm.
energy is super important in the Akashic Records
Yep.
because it's, a philosophy, it's a tool, like, you have to recognize and feel and know how to shift through energy
Yeah.
to be able to read energy. Well, essentially what I'm doing when I'm giving someone a client a reading, I am using reference points of my own human experience to describe the energy, either through sight, hearing, feeling, so on and so forth. But Joe Dispenza's work essentially enabled me to be able to explain it to those who are unaware of its benefit,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
I love that. So back to my one of my questions that I didn't let you finish. Who trained you? How does this what
Yeah.
tell me.
So yeah, sure. So during my path of healing, I met someone who's now I kind of described as like my Yoda, as
Yeah,
that's kind of Luke Skywalker.
I get it.
His sister trained people on the Akashic Records, and it just so happened it was right during COVID. I was like, well, I'm not going anywhere. Might as well learn something.
Right? What
So
a
yeah.
yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
And it was also at a point in my career where this inward journey gave me sort of an idea of my long-term vision, which, right, what I'm doing right now with helping folks pivot in their careers is short term
Okay.
because my vision is to create a new norm where having intuition and gut feelings and logic be normalized in a way that you have an understanding about metaphysical data, you know how to use it and the benefit.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing now is to showcase what's possible because my long-term vision is essentially create an organization that supports humanity as we become more integrated humans.
I love that, Adam. We met you and I met for some reason. You know, in the group that we had joined or we
Yeah,
joined, we're still members. I
yeah.
didn't move towards a lot of people in it, but you were one of the people I did. For some reason, I followed
Um,
up with you and I sent you a note, and maybe I picked up your vibration or
like
something.
yeah.
I don't know. I probably picked something up, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's really okay. So you learned how to and how long ago is this?
I started, yeah, right around 2020, so it's been about
It's been a while
16.
then. Yeah. Okay, so so we all know we just talked about the history of how this isn't, it's not mainstream in
Mhm.
America.
No.
Um, Again, some people would, you know, be judgmental and maybe think we're maybe not of right mind or we're being betraying, Christianity or something like that, right? Like if people don't understand that we're not choosing one or the other. It's a
Yeah.
part of everything else, right? So having said all that, how is this being perceived in your coaching practice? Because you're coming from so your specialty, just so the audience knows,
Mhm.
you were an FBI analyst for
Yep.
years. I mean,
Yep.
how many
Mhm.
years? Like, your whole
Over
career?
for 15 years, long time.
And so right, super analytical, like, I
Mhm.
don't know, I just they don't seem like the kind of people that would move towards this type of thing if I'm gonna
Right.
generalize. And you're
Yeah.
specializing your coaching to
Mhm.
this segment, which I see on LinkedIn is working because they really move towards you because you're one of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So so how are they taking all this? Are they like, you
Yeah,
like,
it's sure, it's a mixture, and I just wanna clarify that the Akashic Records and the familiarity with energy and vibration, to me, is very neutral, and I use the Akashic Records as a tool, meaning if you believe in a certain religion, the Akashic Records can also complement that religion.
uh-huh.
I have had some folks that I've really wanted to support who were Christians, but they declined because they weren't really quite sure how their beliefs fit in with the Akashic Records. But to me, the Akashic Records have a neutral approach of love, and they don't really influence. They just complement any
Yeah,
religion in the world.
right.
And so as a result, that's my approach. I am a bridge between logic and intuition that's safe. And my intent is to bring credibility to it. But the um the reaction is hit or miss
Yeah.
depending on the individual's curiosity. A lot of folks are who have helped want to have this calm certainty is how I describe alignment in simple terms because they want to have a framework, steps to take action. A lot of the folks that I'm supporting in their careers are action takers. They're
Yeah.
very much structured thinkers and they
Yeah.
want to know how to do that. Whereas the folks that, when I describe the Akashic Records, and I'm still working on it, but right now it seems to be landing with folks is I help folks understand, recognize, and develop their internal GPS system. So they know
Mhm.
when to move, why to move, how to move in through the energetic field that you're in, logically what you're seeing. The body is essentially a tuning fork for
Mhm.
around you, and then
Yeah.
logically, you're running simulations on data points, and so when they're in sync,
Hmm.
essentially, your coherence amplifies, and you have a greater resonance.
I mean, Dispenza talks about coherence all the time. It's a big basis for him,
Mm,
is coherence and
mhm,
getting everything in alignment and then things I will tell you, I think about this a lot, and I don't and I'm gonna ask you this yourself. Do you feel like since you've been down this path that you have a lot less friction in your life?
100%.
Yeah.
It helps with letting go. It helps with giving grace to yourself. It helps with self love, self leadership, because depending on the situation, on what is triggering you, what is shifting your lens on life, I can either lean more on the masculine energy analytic side, or I
The
can lean
feminine
more
energy.
on the feminine energy or the intuitive side. So there's a dance.
Mhm. This is so interesting to hear you talk because Seguro talks about feminine energy all the time and that the
Mm,
world needs more feminine energy
but yeah.
than masculine energy.
Mhm.
So that's a really big so I see a lot of I see a ton of crossover with some of the stuff as you're just as you're I think the other thing is, then see if you went this through yourself, is that
Yep.
you become really if you try to don't believe me, it is not easy to be in the moment, and I always have to recenter myself a lot during the day, like, okay, because I was a worrier. I was one of those people, and I still am. I'm a financial worrier. I always worry about
Mhm.
money. Through one of, do you know Date for Destiny with Tony Robbins' program called Date for Destiny?
No.
I won't go through the whole thing. He breaks you down. He
Mm.
puts you in, like, states of breakdown to figure out what is your blocking kind of your life, and he
Sure.
doesn't making you tired, like, he does things real late at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, fucking 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, "Oh my god." But and then you're in a group of you're with like-minded people, and he creates this very safe place that you
Mhm.
don't have to you just can be you, you can admit it and be vulnerable, and I don't do vulnerability well at all.
Well, you're doing well on this show.
Yeah, but I'm not being that vulnerable about myself. You are. I'm not. I'm just telling you about my experience. So the money thing. So I figured out at like 3 in the morning with one of my best friends and Tony Robbins trying to
Uh-huh.
figure out why I have this stress about money, and I won't
Mhm.
explain why because it's too long of a story, but it's something that happened in my childhood.
Mm.
And I finally was like, "Oh my god, I've been through it's like friends of my psychologist, it was just they'd say things like, "Renee, have you been homeless?" "Well, no." "Have you ever slept on a bench?" I'm like, "Well, no." "Have you not been able to pay your bills?" "No." "What is wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But I
Mm.
figured it out that it still bothers me, but
Uh-huh.
what's helped is my meditative process of understanding being in the moment, because one thing that Sadhguru talks about, and I share this with you, is that we only have the moment, like, right now, like, that's all we have.
Yeah.
The past doesn't matter
Yeah.
because you can't do anything about it, so what are
Right.
you worried about?
Yeah.
You plan for the future, you're not irresponsible, but you don't worry about the future, so, as humans, we spend so much of our in between our head, the noise in our head,
Right.
worrying about what's going to happen that never happens, and we use
Mhm.
all this energy doing it.
Right. For me, meditation and that greater self-awareness helps you with the ebb and flows of life is and
Yeah.
it also helps create inner energetic boundaries with
Mm.
high and low vibration energy.
Yeah.
When I take a moment to pause, you can shift that reality that you're in, whether it be contributing to gossip, for example, that or shifting the conversation where it's more positive and joyful. And it's
Mhm.
just a moment, a tool to help you create that moment of separation and pause to sort of shift the reality and shift it into more calm certainty.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. I'm loving this. This is like this I'm nerding out, as you can see.
I can tell.
Well, when I find a brethren, it makes me
You're in
feel
your
good,
element.
you know?
Yeah.
Although
You're
you
in your
sound like you
element.
know, like, I have a lot more than I do. I'd read a lot. I did a lot of reading. I went through a lot of programs.
Mm,
I feel like, I think it would be really hard. So I think in your coaching practice, you've done a really when you explain it, I think you do a really good job of succinctly saying it, and I think
mm,
that's not easy to do. I'd probably get off
mhm,
on some crazy tangent. So I think you've done a really good job with that because it really isn't it's simple, but when you come from, like, an American upbringing in a traditional
mhm,
way, I mean, look at social media when you jump on it. Talk about
sure,
negativity bringing people together. Some of the horrible things people say behind a text
mm,
publicly is astounding to me. Sometimes I see have you ever seen, like, just, like, if someone's ugly in their mind or they're fat, some of the
mm,
things that they say to these people, I'm like, "This is just how can you be such a horrible person to say these?" It's like just inflicting pain on purpose, you know? I mean, I don't it's
mhm,
terrible. But anyway, so when you're kind of in this when you see this in the world and you, see the damage that it does,
mhm.
so I have to go down this road with you. I just cannot not go down this road.
Yeah, let's do it.
What are your thoughts on AI and the human race?
Yeah, for me, artificial intelligence is a tool to help be a mirror for your inward journey. It is a reflection of your state of consciousness. It is a reflection of what you care about, your intentions. And because of that, I think it will be an amplifier of energetic vibration
You
where
do. You think it'll be positive.
well, it's going to depend on the individuals and their intentions behind it, especially as a collective. And that's why I feel like my work is so important, is because it brings both the masculine and feminine energy into balance. So my work is to create essentially a framework on how to bring the world more in balance with itself. And with artificial intelligence, it's just a moment in time to help reorient the energetic signature of the world.
Well, I think you need to go out there with this because I think it's gonna be needed.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, I'm excited about it. Right now, I'm focused on helping federal workers in the United States transition their careers, but eventually like to help business owners and then governments alike do this sort of thing. So yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the coaching. So it's
Hmm.
sort of a stepping stone. It's not the ultimate thing that you
Correct.
wanna do. You have a framework. I'm looking down at my notes. So you have a framework you created. I hope I'm correct on this, called Logic,
Yep.
right? Do you wanna
Yep.
talk about the framework? Do you wanna share it?
Yes. Yeah, let's do it. It is 4 steps and it incorporates, my experiences in the Akashic Records and meditation. But the first one is recognizing your inner signals. The second step is interpreting those inner signals. The third step is having your inner signals meet up with logical thinking. And the fourth step is taking action where you trust all the processes that you've done so far. And that came from my work in the intelligence community. So, a lot of it is based around the intelligence cycle, which
Okay.
is sequential steps of gathering information, or you have requirements, then you gather information, then you interpret the information, then you analyze the information, and then you make a decision around that information. And it's a fundamental of those who work in the intelligence community. And so, in the same manner, as a human being who knows how to engage logic and intuition simultaneously. The first two steps largely are around having calibration around the body. And then the last two steps bring the energetic signature that you are interpreting into the physical plane and start to take action from there. And it helps divide different dimensions of reality or integrate different dimensions of reality.
That's a lot, Adam.
Well, you said you follow Joe Dispenza's work.
I do, but I'm really thinking about what you're saying, and I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I gotta figure out how you're doing it. So this is interesting because, and I think about this
Mhm,
as it relates to hiring. Ooh,
mhm.
right? Because, um, how much hiring did you do in the FBI? Because you got up there. Weren't you a
Yeah,
director level?
I was not a director level. So in government terms, I was still a line employee. I often went back and forth being a supervisor.
Okay.
It's interesting you bring that up because all employees of the FBI and the US government have some kind of responsibility over United States national security. And I think that is just, I just want to emphasize that that's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is.
nonetheless, yeah, I did supervise, but not at the director level, which, at that high level. But yeah.
Yeah. But you did supervise people. Were you ever in the hiring process?
I did support it. I gave recommendations either in bringing in new employees or in the promotion process within the
Okay.
organization.
So it's interesting because in the hiring process, hiring managers talk about
Mhm.
gut all the time.
Mm.
But they only describe it with the one word called gut, you know?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
Right. And which is sort of normal.
yeah.
There's no, I shouldn't say no. No one's ever shared with me or been able to vocalize,
Mm,
verbalize,
yeah,
not vocalize. Maybe it could be both. Verbalize what that gut system is,
yeah,
because 'cause I'm sure they don't really know themselves.
sure.
But where I see there's a lot of problems in hiring that I see, and
Mm,
there's so many. Because if you watch my podcast, I talk about it all the time,
yeah,
but there's no analytical process
mhm.
Okay, there's, like, very loose and it's very individualized,
Mhm.
and there's certainly no into logic process.
Yeah.
Wow! How crazy and amazing would that be if you could
Mm.
marry those 2 in the hiring process?
Yeah, I think not only you could come to consensus on decisions, you could better understand the value and impact that an individual brings. Having the gut feeling be systematized with logic is, I think, a new way to do things a lot better and make it easier for folks.
I think it would be very powerful,
Mhm.
because it's a very stressful situation for everybody involved, especially the job seeker.
Yeah.
You see it
Mm.
out there, right? You see the chatter
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's getting better. I'm not sure that the companies really care to solve it though,
Mm.
to be honest. When
Mhm.
I talk to them about I have a better way for you, I don't know if anyone's really interested, which I think is really interesting. It's a really
Mm.
interesting dynamic. And it's
Mhm.
kind of across the board. It's not I don't see a pattern with industries. It's very selective on the people and the culture of the organization, whether they really think. I had this one HR person say to me, and she's been in HR she's in her 70s, she's been in HR for her whole life. And she said,
Yeah.
"Look," she said to me, she goes, "Look," she's very like kind of hard nosed. She goes, "Look,
Uh-huh.
marriage is 50-50. You get a 50-50 shot, and you've dated somebody, you spend time with them, you're doing all this stuff. And relationships are a 50-50 shot, like literally
Mm.
flipping a coin whether you're going to be able to make it work. How do
Right.
you think we're going to be any better with hiring?" And
Mm.
I really didn't have anything to say to her. I didn't have a rebuttal. It made me
Mm.
sad a little bit. So it's like, so basically you feel like it's just random, it's just chance. And so
Yeah.
why invest anything in the process? That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing, you know? That there's no way that you can get reliable information in the short time frame if you
Right.
can't even make it work in the long time frame.
Mm.
And I was like, "Okay." I mean, I didn't know what to say to her. I was like, "God, that was kinda defeating," but I kinda see your point,
Sure. Yeah.
but I'm not sure I still agree with you.
Mm.
Part of my thing on the hiring side, I tend to move more towards the job seeker and what their needs are because
Uh-huh.
what you find is if you can meet their needs and, you know, if you can meet their needs, then it's usually a good marriage. When you can't meet their needs or you're trying to fudge the needs or you're trying to convince people of something and it really doesn't align with their life, whether it's how they operate. I mean, there could be a million things. I
Right.
usually walk away right from the beginning because I had a situation yesterday. I had a friend of mine. She's a fractional CFO
Uh-huh.
and she was helping a client hire, and I said, first off, like, you need to charge them for that. But second off, she's like, "Could you help me a little bit?" So she was competing against me, which was really funny. So I'm like, "Okay." So I had a candidate, she had a candidate, and she really wanted the candidate she found, she really wanted it for the company because she was a fractional CFO because she thought it was a better fit for more for technical reasons. She got caught up in the technical side a little bit.
Okay.
People get caught up in the technical side sometimes too much, in my
Mm.
opinion. So it
Yeah.
was the technical piece of it, and one of the reasons was because this is so interesting, the logic, because the hiring manager, the permanent person in the like, as the controller,
Okay.
nicest guy in the world, terrible trainer. She's like, "So
Okay.
I'd rather have someone with some experience because we're looking at a new graduate, because if I take a new graduate, then the person's not" she had this whole story in her head. She want people to train her and that she won't stay, and so I'm like, "Okay, first off, time out, because the reason you're there is to help train the person because we know it's a
Uh-huh.
deficiency of them." Okay, all right.
Okay.
So secondly, you're making a hiring decision, and what happened with it was I knew from her conversations, I was coaching her through it. I knew from the conversations the person what they could offer the person wasn't aligning with her life.
Yeah.
This person was going from 3 days a week and she had to go to 5 days a week. And she had a little child. And I said, "That's life-changing for people." And the hiring manager said something in the interview that he shouldn't have said. It was like an illegal question.
Mm.
But what happened was they just went and tried to convince her and send an offer, and of course, she used the offer letter as leverage to get a raise where she was at. So I
Mm.
said, "It's because you didn't have the conversation in the beginning of, does this align with your life?" Because the first thing I would have said if I was representing the candidate was, "Okay, you're going from, can you really do 5 days? You really need to think about this." So I probably wouldn't have been interviewed her for the
Mm.
role if I
Mhm.
can't iron those things out. So they wasted a
Right.
whole lot of time because the girl declined the
Mm.
offer. Because you're not aligning, you can't give the person what they need,
Right. Right.
and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Cut it off. 'Cause I had a VP of HR say to me, "Renee, I'm not worried about recruiting, I'm worried about retention." I said, "Recruiting is retention. It's the
Mm,
first step of retention is recruiting,
that's
because
right.
if you can give people what they need, they'll stay. But
Right.
if you can't align with their needs," and this goes back to not, because what happens in hiring, where I think the biggest fault is all the things that you talked about with, what I mean, you're really talking about when you're talking about your spirituality and your needs, and that's your needs, like, what fuels you, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
so, if you can't give people at a culture, an environment that feeds what you need or is set up for what your life needs, even at that time in your life, it's not really gonna change. Like,
Yeah.
if you have a small child, this is me as a mother of, I raised 3 sons, and I
Mhm.
went from 3 days to 5 days, I wouldn't
Mm,
have care about the money, because I'm thinking to myself, "That's a whole life-changing thing to
sure.
not be home 2 days." From a flexibility standpoint, so you have to ask people what their priorities are. Don't assume, "I can get you more money, I can get you benefits." They may not care. It isn't important to them right now. It doesn't trump the flexibility that they need in their life right now. And so
Sure.
people will go into with these preconceived notions of what they feel like that would be important to them. And I'm
Mm,
like, "It doesn't matter what's important to you. What
right.
matters is if you can meet the needs of that person."
Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
anyway, I think this is, if I could marry this and teach the companies how to do this,
Yeah.
I think you still have more. I don't think it's I think it'd have a much more successful retention, a much more successful culture. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well,
Like, what
set
do
me
you
up.
think?
Yeah. Fun. Right now. I'm on the applicant side, you could say, and setting people up to
Yeah.
get into that path of alignment and syncing up with HR departments in some way could be for me to be a pipeline for them, or teaching them how to systematize gut with rational thinking
Yeah.
together. I mean, the possibilities are endless, especially in the hiring process.
Yeah, because you'll find somebody, and sometimes in the final moments, someone will say, "I don't know, something's bothering me,"
Yeah.
right? And if, the in your body, the part of your brain that can't verbalize is the feeling part of your brain, right? That's why people can't verbalize how they feel about things. So when you ask people, "Well, why?" "I don't know why. I just get a feeling. It's my gut. There's something there."
Right.
Because they can't verbalize it, because it doesn't exist in your brain to verbalize it. And so that's
Sure.
why, so if you ask somebody the question like, "Why do you love your significant other? Why do you love that person?" And you kind of
Mhm.
go, "I mean, I don't know." Like, if somebody asks me about my husband, I'm like, he's a really nice person. He's honest. I go back to, like, facts. But
Yeah.
it's because you can't really, he's a good father,
Um,
he comes home every day for 38
mhm.
years, like, he always shows up, but it's
Right.
always, like, very factual things about that person, because you
Sure.
can't really explain why,
Yeah.
you know?
It's sometimes difficult to explain the vibe.
Well, you can't.
Hmm.
I don't, or can you? You tell
I
me.
well,
You're the expert, you tell me, can you?
part part of my framework is in bringing the vibe into an understanding, um, in a way that folks know what it well, first recognize it, and then how to make sure it's complementing your actions. And in a way, it gives a voice to the vibe. It gives an explanation to the
Okay.
vibe, and it is a way to succinctly communicate how your body is influencing your decisions.
So, I don't know if you would share. I'm gonna ask anyway. You just tell me no if you don't want to.
Okay.
I mean, you have to have a process for this. There's a process. There's
Yeah.
gotta be a step-by-step process for this,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
framework for this.
Yeah.
So can you share the framework?
Well, largely, it's the Interlogic framework that I shared earlier.
Okay.
But in practice, it is developing these different sides of you. And I would say the more advanced version is knowing how to dance on the intuitive side and on the logical side. And when you understand the different techniques of both areas, that's where the magic happens. But generally, the overview framework is the four steps that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I'm talking about the intuitive step. I'm talking about,
On
"Hey,
the
so I'm
well,
feeling that, alright, so I have a job offer in front of me," because 'cause you're talking about job seekers right now, right?
right?
So I have a job offer in front of me, or I went to an interview, whatever the case may be, and maybe I
Mhm.
call you up as my coach and be like, "I don't know, Adam, like, I just wasn't feeling it with this guy, and I'm not sure," you know? So if that happened, you know,
Yeah.
you have to say you must say to me something like, "Okay, well, this is what you need to do. You need to blah, blah,
Mm,
blah, blah, blah," and not the 4 pillars. I'm talking about what would be the details? Like,
mm.
would you say, "Renee, you need to go meditate for an hour and clear your mind, and then go back and write down all your
Cool.
pros and cons," and I don't know, I'm just
Right.
curious.
I think, my answer would be it depends on where the
Uh,
person's at on their journey.
you're sounding
Meaning
like an attorney.
well, I'm an analyst, so they're
So
similar.
that makes sense?
Yeah, but I mean what I mean by that, if depending on the level of fear, limitation, or scarcity that is influencing the decision and where they are at on their journey, meaning are they at the beginner level intuition, or are
Okay,
they more advanced with their intuition? Then the conversation would change. If they are more advanced, I would talk more energetics. I would talk more love leadership. If they're on the beginner level, we would talk basics and fundamentals.
okay.
So depending on where they are
It's
on
like
that
you have a
spec.
little bit of a ladder here, depending on where
Oh,
you're at.
yeah.
A
Yeah.
big ladder. So fear is really interesting. Let's talk about fear because
Yeah.
fear is it's a huge concept for Tony Robbins. It's almost like the
Mhm.
epicenter of his, you know, teaching, so to speak, of his
Mhm.
frameworks. And then the same thing on Seguru's side. Fear is kind of the evil steps. Like it's not a good thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
always something that tends to hold people back is fear. And how does that play into it with the Akashic Records and, like, your in your process? You see that
Right.
fear being like that nut that really can
Yeah.
skew things for people?
Uh, 100%. I mean, if you're speaking about how it affects my own process or how it might affect what comes through during a reading, either scenario, it distorts the quality, the vibration of the information that comes through, and the guidance that you ultimately receive. Because when you're in the records, it is essentially showcasing where you are at this point in time. Meaning, are you,
Okay.
uh, how are you viewing life? It will give you one step, small step forward because the information that comes through, you may not be ready to receive it. And so it is a point
I
of
understand that.
yeah, it's a point where it is a loving, safe space for you to receive information with what you're able to receive and understand.
That's amazing. I love
Mm,
that you're doing this. I'm so fascinated by it. It's something like some you know, I was on chat talking about this, and I was
mhm.
like, "Okay, are we talking quantum field here?" Because you know, of course, Joe
Sure.
Dispenza talks quantum
Part
field,
of it. Yeah,
and every all meeting is in the quantum field and
yeah.
scientific all stuff. And then and it kind of said, not really, Renee. It's also more spiritual that quantum field is very scientific. And I'm just like, well, maybe you're wrong, but is it really assimilated with the quantum field
Oh, yeah.
theory?
There's
Okay.
overlap. Yeah, it
Okay.
just depends on what perspective you wanna take. But
Hmm.
I can speak all the languages.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was going through, I have to get back to Dispenza a little bit. I really like him. I was. Do you ever hear his Go Love meditation he did during the
Uh-uh.
Oh my god, it is an amazing meditation. I
Mm.
do it look it up, you'll find it. I think it was 2020. I still do it once in a while when I feel it's called Go Love, and we did it he had everyone in his organization do it, like, the same day, the same time, and all that stuff, you know? And it was I think people were just having a hard time, right? It was people were really depressed and in this whole situation with I think it really affected a lot of people mentally, the lockdown, and he did this
Mm.
Go Love, and it was only about it's short, it's only like 15 minutes. I don't know where the heart, um, comes into with I mean, I'm sure it does into your process,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
you know, and I know Dispenza thinks, and I know the yogis think that it's like a second brain, like it's
Mhm.
right? And if you
Yeah.
read Untethered Soul with Michael
Yeah.
Singer, he'll tell you,
Mhm.
you feel it in your heart first before it goes to your head, and if you let yourself be in that moment and you feel it, you'll feel it in your heart before it gets to your, like, logical brain. You'll literally feel it. That's why heartbreak is real, like, it's no joke when we talk about this. Through this whole meditation, you are thinking about someone that you love,
Mm,
and you're bringing that person that you love into your heart, and
mm,
then the hearts are merging together. So bring his heart or her heart into your heart, and how much you love them. And it is such a powerful meditation that I cry every time I do it.
mm,
And now that I have my grandson, so I used to rotate people when I would do it. I think about people
uh-huh,
in my life that I loved, and I would just concentrate on the one person visually and all this stuff. And it was like really, it's a really powerful because you really feel it in your heart, and you have this, as you know, Dispenza's whole thing is also it's rooted in gratitude.
mhm.
Everything is and oh, I have a tattoo that I got when I turned 60. Hold on a second.
Was it
Wait
of
a minute.
gratitude?
What does it
Oh, I
say?
love that.
It says
Gratitude in the
grateful.
heart.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, great. Yeah.
And so I look at that. And so when I'm feeling sorry for myself or I'm like, boo-hoo, I look down and I'm like, you need to be grateful for your life because you
Mm,
have an amazing life. So
mm,
anyway, so this is a mix of like your heart with love with gratefulness. So you feel grateful. So now I have a grandson who I'm like madly, like I'm mad over this child. I love this child so much that my sons are like jealous.
uh-huh.
Like, he's such a beautiful I'm like, "You are such a gift from the universe. You are such a gift." Anyway, so I think about him when I do this, but there no, everyone else is off, like, they're off the radar. I do think about this kid, when
Oh
I do
my
this
gosh.
meditation, but, you know, it's a really nice meditation for people that don't meditate.
Mhm. Sure.
Because everyone can sort of, because like some of Dispenza's like very abstract, right? Some of the stuff's like super
Mm,
abstract, and you're like, oh, it's dark, and where am I? And it's
yeah.
just like it's very abstract. So this is like he's talking you through something that is, so it's 100%
Mm,
guided meditation, and it's wonderful for people who've never done it because you can
sure.
always find someone that you love to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Makes
so
sense.
it's really not about your own inner reflection. It's about awakening your heart or your heart chakra. I don't think he talks about energy centers, not chakras, but that's
Yeah.
essentially what you're doing with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you ever feeling down, just throw on that love
I love that.
because it brings all that together. You know what I mean? So I have kept you an hour and 7 minutes. I probably spoke for too much of it. Is there anything else you wanted to share anything about the business you wanted to get out there? Like, anything else you wanna talk about?
Yeah, I would say just briefly. So, my work is quite unique in that I am translating gut and intuition and bringing it together with logical processes through my background at the FBI, that lens. And so, I look at intuition as data points and ultimately to help individuals have more agency and sovereignty currently in their career pivots. And so they know what job makes sense, what to
Mhm.
apply to, when to do it. And then as they go through the hiring process, maybe to do something else on the side or whatnot. But they have this internal authority within themselves to be able to make any sort of decision when any sort of life challenge happens. And I'm sort of like, I'm not a traditional
Mm.
career coach. I'm
Right.
giving folks the ability to lead themselves or anyone for that matter. And so that's really what my work is about currently. And it goes from an Akashic record reading and helping folks connect to their gut all the way to the more advanced offers where they can do essentially what I'm doing now. But it's a
Mm.
long path into that, and that's my work.
So when you're helping someone through an interview process, I really find that this gotta be super helpful for them because you're putting them in a certain state of mind or a
Mhm.
certain state.
Yeah.
Right, in general. So are you talking with them before they go on interviews and putting them in that state and things like that to help them?
So I'm not typically, I am more putting them into the job that's in alignment for them.
Okay.
So I don't do interview prep or support. It would be more about giving giving them the tools and advising them on how to show up, how to,
Right.
uh be themselves in the moment, because my whole purpose is giving folks back that inner authority.
What's really interesting about that is because, and I'm totally against this methodology of interviewing, is there's a lot of there's a mindset. It's not across the board, but I've seen it too often. I used to see it years ago more than I do now, where they are trying to put people in stressful situations in the interview process to see how they respond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my philosophy has always been this, and I tell this to my clients. Your job is to make them so comfortable so they
Mhm.
can be themselves. So you
Mhm.
know when you hire them who you're
Mhm.
getting
Yeah,
because
sure.
you don't want to see the practiced person. You don't want to see
Mhm.
the actor or actress, right? You want to see Adam showing up or Renee showing up because you're gonna find out who they are anyway.
Mhm.
They're gonna show up.
Right.
It may not be in the first 30, 60, or 90 days, but it's gonna show soon after 90 days. And so you have to understand who they are because again, is that environment and you as a manager, whatever, or that company, can it support that person and and be in a place where they're gonna thrive
Right.
as a whole person, not the work person. So, it's
Mhm.
interesting. So all right, sir. Well, I appreciate you. I'm so glad that we've met. I think this is fascinating, and
Yeah.
I wish you so much luck with this. I hope that I'm, like, behind you energetically to get this word out, and we'll have more private conversations about this because 'cause this really intrigues me. Human behavior, psychology, the whole thing, like, it really I believe in it. I understand it to some degree, but there's so much to learn about it. It's like an unending education with it.
Yeah.
But one thing for sure I do know is it can change people's lives if you let it in, if you allow it to come in. It really does,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know? And you don't have to have heartbreak to start,
Yes. No, you don't.
you know? I think what's also really, really great for you is I found this like really downstream in my life. I was like in my 50s and you find it when you're young. And I think about maybe how much less pain I'd been in my life if I had had it earlier in my life. Like my son, he's only
Mhm.
31 and he's been doing this since he was 25. And I'm like, you're so far out of the game. Like,
Yeah.
we should be having kids meditate at 5 years old. I told my daughter-in-law, I said, when he's 3, I'm going to set
Yeah.
him in my meditation room a
There you
minute,
go.
2 minutes. Is that okay?
That's
Because think about how he could evolve as a human being if so
that's
anyway, I've kept you too long. You're awesome. I'll talk to you soon. Another great episode of The Hiring with Adam Dickinson, and there'll be more to come.
Thank you, Renee. Really appreciate it. Lovely to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me in the hiring room. If you like the podcast, please subscribe below and share this episode with someone you think that would benefit from it. We're always looking for good people to interview. So if you have a referral, comment below, or you can email me at renee@mseedinc.com. Thanks. Till next time.